Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to all of you. And thank you for joining me for this very important topic. I'm delighted to be in Saudi Arabia today, in Riyadh, where I've been many, many times, but I've never been to an event such as this one. Tremendous amount of clients, government institutions, and tremendous progress I see here. We at IBM are not strangers to the kingdom. In fact, our presence was first here in 1947. And the first computer in the region was an IBM one. We did it over 70 years ago at Aramco. The same thing with the first mainframe was at Aramco. And since then, we've had really good, great collaboration with the kingdom. And we are very, very committed, of course, to Vision 2030, where we know that human capital, innovation, developing the Saudi talent and the economy is going to be very important. So now, I'm sure you've all heard that the pandemic has been a very powerful force of disruption. All of us have lived through it in the last 2 years. I hope all of you and your families are well, but it is really a strong catalyst for change. So I'm going to address some of that, I'm going to address some of the implications of it, and have a point of view hopefully we could all discuss. So let me talk about what we've seen. In the last 2 years, there's been a massive acceleration of digital transformation. In fact, one of the analysts said it's 10x what it used to be, and it has been done, what used to be done in 1 year, it has been in 10 years, now it's been done in 1 year. So for example, the e-commerce space, and e-commerce has emerged as a major leader in digital transformation for a simple reason. Why? Because we need it. All of us were using e-commerce when everything else was shut down for about 2 years. Major significant transformation that occurred. Now, if we look at the world entering the digital economy, the amount of data we produce has been massive. And as you can see on this chart here, we actually produce 2.5 quintillion bytes per day. Quintillion, for the people who don't know, it's actually this number, 2.5, and add another 18 zeros behind it. That is a huge amount of data that we produce on a daily basis. And very little of this data is actually collected and analyzed the right way. In fact, IDC have shown that 90% of the data is unstructured and not used. And 20 years ago, the prediction, as you probably heard, that every company would become an internet company. Now people are saying every company will become an AI company. Hence the importance of this area for us. And of course, 90% of digitized business models and companies we deal with, including governments, have AI at the core of their digital transformation. So without further ado, let me just put a video on for a minute to discuss some of this area in a bit more detail and show you some examples. So if you could roll on the video, please.
Data is the fuel that powers AI. New types from new sources. Massive, ever-expanding volumes. Data as yet untapped, holding insights that can reveal new opportunities. But your data is often siloed by function and form, trapped within rigid platforms and systems of record. To unleash your AI, you first have to unlock your data. Hybrid data management that embraces multi-cloud architecture and is built for and powered by AI makes relevant data simple and accessible. Fueling your AI with clean, trusted data, data of virtually any type, from virtually any source, supports the intelligent connected applications and workloads your company needs to stand apart. It's how you can get a 360-degree view of your customers and market segments.
Now, a trusted foundation for what I just discussed is paramount. We did discuss that data proliferation has been increasing at a massive level. In fact, much faster than the past, at now 6x. Now, the data source is everything you and I do, whether it is cell phone data from GPS, whether it is the consumer data, whether it is even social media or the videos people put up. There's a lot of data out there, and the data could reside in public clouds, private clouds, or the edge of the network. So there is a lot of change, especially in consumer behavior, where the consumers have reimagined the way things are done, and many of the consumers, as you can see here, 72% expect companies to address how data is treated, how AI is used, and to be governed, because it needs to be defendable and needs to be trusted at the same time. And clearly, the other part of this, as you heard in the previous discussion, regulation. So in many countries now, there is explicit regulation around data and use of AI. In fact, in some countries, there is a penalty of up to 6% of annualized revenue, which is a significant number for improper use of data. Now, all of this is underpinned by something very important that we in IBM are passionate about, and that is security, data security and network security. When we use the term zero trust, which is now the industry term for this, and it's absolutely a zero trust framework that is a wrapper around all of this. And let me again show you another video to show you a real life example of what I'm talking about here. So if you could roll on the video, please.
It's not enough to create and deploy AI. To build and scale AI with confidence, you need trust and transparency. A foundation of simple, accessible data and a hybrid multi-cloud architecture designed to automate the building, running, and managing of a comprehensive AI lifecycle. When organizations can train AI models at scale, they help empower data scientists and analysts everywhere. By simplifying AI modeling and deployment, organizations can bring everyone on their team together across the cloud. Businesses can simplify operations by running AI models inside a process or application, using models to get predictions and insights, and by deploying AI-powered applications with the click of a mouse, all while keeping models continually learning. As they manage AI, organizations can monitor model drift in accuracy and bias while navigating regulatory compliance. They can show how the AI came to its conclusions with fairness and explainability, while tracking the governance of AI models, who made changes and when. It's part of a modern approach in which data is collected and organized for the demands of AI, analyzed for patterns and predictions, and infused throughout the organization. Organizations that build their AI this way are seeing operational success in virtually every industry. AI is helping retailers imagine what each individual customer may do, predicting who is likely to buy and how they prefer to interact with the brand. AI is curating customers' personal shopping with next offers, while guiding agents and staff to relevant answers, anticipating issues, and helping create customer experiences that stand apart. This is just one example of how AI is helping businesses win today.
So I hope you saw in this video an example of various industries, from retail to others that leverage, that has a lot of data built in by design. For example, healthcare, and how AI could help that, help manage it and analyze it in a secure way. Now, closer to home, you take the oil and gas companies. One oil well produces a lot of data, a zettabyte of data. There is no way for humans to take that data and really leverage business value out of it. The way you do it is by leveraging AI and AI models and methodologies. Now, let's go to the topic. So what is fair AI? Now, IBM has had a long-term commitment to ethical use of technology, full stop, technology. Now, this has been now, of course, implemented with AI, where it's all about the responsible use of technology. And in fact, we have a board that is specific to how we leverage AI with our clients and our government institutions that we work with. Now, transparency is important. Open to inspection, that means a consumer, an end user, or a government institution could and should know how that data is being used and how AI is being implemented across that data platform. Secondly is explainable. This area of explainability is about inputs and outputs. So the inputs, of course, is the amount of data I mentioned to you, but then what happens to it in that middle part and what's the outcome. Now this becomes very important in areas that has been in the news recently around, for example, the social media platforms and what happens to our data that we use. And is there an agreement? Is there an apparent agreement that we give them to use our data and how they use it and what they do with it and how do they commercialize it? We have to create a culture of ethics in terms of this area, and the reason the culture of ethics is so important is around the area of bias, because it has to be unbiased, the AI usage. You imagine areas such as political affiliation, you imagine gender, religion, culture, ethnic minority. They could easily be, in quotes, profiling in this area with the wrong use of AI. An example of that would be somebody trying to apply for a loan, a car loan, house loan. The bank institute could potentially use data gathered on demographics and certain areas of a particular city or a state or a country could be deemed as unattractive in terms of creditworthiness because of the poor conditions maybe or the education standards, and therefore the interest rates will be higher, or flat out denying a loan. That is unacceptable usage of AI. That should not be the way it should be used, and therefore it has to be unbiased. In terms of robust, I spoke a lot about this area, and this is all about effectively managing and securing the risk involved in managing AI. And then finally, privacy. Data privacy, I've touched on it a lot. This is fueled by high integrity data and has to be business compliant as we do it. And this is all about the personal data of individuals. And now, as you probably know, there are a lot of laws out there around this area, specific to this area of data privacy. Now, the key ingredients for AI for business. Trust. I think I've spoken a lot about trust in terms of data and data usage. Secondly, it's about anywhere, run it where you want it to be. Now, you know data is going to be placed where it was going to be placed, as I mentioned earlier, private, public, and edge of the network. But it's all about who, what, where, when has access and usage of that data. And then secondly, bringing a lot of AI to that data where it resides. That's important. It's not going to be the other way around. AI will come to the data where it resides, wherever it resides, and have a comprehensive view of it. And I'm going to talk about some customer examples that we have where we have disparate data and how we use data fabric and AI to help manage that. And then I mentioned to you that IDC estimated that 90% of this data is unused. Natural language processing, for example, and machine learning is key to unlock the value of that data to companies. And then, of course, automation is absolutely key. As I mentioned to you, there is no way you could have enough humans delivering the work that's required with this data. And I'll touch on that later on when I speak about the skill shortages that we see in the industry. And within IBM, all of this, what I described to you, is secured and underpinned by a very important platform, and that is the Red Hat OpenShift platform, which is an open standard IBM platform that underpins everything we do in this space. Now, client examples. So there are a few here, tough to read, but I'll describe some. So the first one, top left, is actually Regions Bank that has put in place a very important AI, operational AI business model that helps them reduce risk and detect fraud in the industry. As you can imagine with banks, that's a key area, and it costs billions of dollars annually for all the banks around the globe, and we help them with an AI platform for this. General Motors get much deeper insight by unifying its audit, risk, and control landscape with IBM AI. And it's all about getting the insight out of the AI engines. ING Insurance on the list adopted data fabric approach, complete data fabric with AI, so they could provide high data, governed data with business and audit-ready approaches to how they manage their data across multiple countries. If you remember, I said where the data resides, it could reside across multi-country, multi-regions, multi-cities. That's what I'm talking about. And then finally, Citigroup have an audit practice, 2,500 people trained with an AI platform to manage that audit practice. And there are many examples. For example, Vodafone has a Toby platform for client care that is automated. And again, back to the point that you could invest in human capital. It's important, but you have to augment it with AI. AI will not take over a human mission, but you can always augment that function with it. Now, barriers to adoption that we see in the industry right now. Amount of data, I spoke a lot about it. Trust, I spoke a lot about that also in terms of whether it is trustable usage of data, privacy, or security. But another big area of shortage is actually this one here, skills. If you recall, I spoke about there aren't enough people and therefore we have to use AI for this. The estimate is, right now, is there are 200,000 shortage, over 200,000 of data scientists shortage. That will not be fulfilled overnight. There aren't enough universities that could produce 200,000 tomorrow or next year. Maybe in the future, but not immediately. Therefore, you need AI to perform some of that work. And in IBM, we operate, as you probably know, in over 150 countries. We have over 140,000 employees. And we perform a lot of work for our clients and government institutions in this area. But underpinning all of this, there has to be a huge level of automating the business process and automating the process of data science, where you boost productivity and transparency as you do all this. So again, let me show you a final video on this.
With AI, every business challenge can become an opportunity. An opportunity to explore, to automate, to understand, to predict. Organizations that scale AI throughout their businesses are extending and amplifying human expertise and driving more confident action. Across industries, AI, such as IBM Watson technology, is radically transforming the way organizations work by helping predict and shape future outcomes, empowering people to do higher value work, automating decisions, processes, and experiences, and ultimately reimagining new business models that are trusted, transparent, and deployable just about anywhere. AI is helping create relationships in which customers across virtually every channel and touchpoint feel they are understood and valued. It's helping create environments where workers across the business feel empowered, with AI guidance helping them answer questions faster and with greater certainty, turning challenges into solutions that drive even greater success.
Right. Good examples. So let me tell you about AI for Good. Now, we have an Institute for Business Value, which is a very powerful body in our consulting practice that does surveys and analysis with thousands of CEOs, CIOs, and CTOs around the globe. And they said 93% of them, of the audience I just mentioned, have said the COVID-19 and what happened has influenced their views on this area, and in particular such things as sustainability. In fact, we all know that Saudi Arabia has a a big drive around sustainability also, in alignment with Vision 2030. So again, as I mentioned, we are very committed to Saudi Arabia and its Vision 2030 mission. We are obviously going to be supporting Saudi Arabia with our skills and talent, and especially supporting the, let's call it the younger generation, the graduates, where we have many, many schemes, and we're training a lot of young Saudis to be part of this journey around data, AI, automation, security, and hybrid cloud. And then finally, we obviously bring a massive framework for this area for trusted AI with innovation. So I hope this has been useful. I'm around if any of you want to talk a bit more about this. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to further conversation. Thank you.